I first would like to thank you, Elsie, for inviting me to participate and sharing this interesting session on the state of the science and the biological importance of physical activity in disease reduction and health maintenance. I have no conflict of interest to report in relation to this topic. As you can see here, out of a world population of 7 billion people, about 2 billion people suffer from micronutrients malnutrition, and nearly 200 million people continue suffering from calorie deficiency. And out of 5 billion adults, nearly 2 billion are overweight or obese, and out of 12 million have type 2 diabetes. And particularly in children, there is a big problem because more than 150 million people under 5 are short for their age. They are stunted, and we continue having wasting. But more than this, even more than this, about 150 million children under 5 are really obese or overweight, and this is a real challenge for the global aspects and this global burden of disease. The prevalence of non-communicable chronic disease is expected to grow not only in high-income countries, but also in, you can see, in middle-income and low-income countries. So there are some progress for the country related to the Global Sustainable Goal for 2030. But if you look at the red, these are the number of countries that they are doing nothing. And they are doing nothing concerning diet, and they are doing nothing concerning how to increase physical activity and avoid sedentarism. So we need to do things. We know that there are a number of risk factors, namely tobacco use, alcohol abuse, and low physical activity, so in fact high physical inactivity, and obesity and raised cholesterol, decreased vegetable and fruit intake. Those factors are really affecting the prevalence of non-communicable disease. And this is the burden that we need to fight in the next 30 years. So you know that considering that we know today mortality due to non-communicable chronic disease could be reduced by 50% by application of the recent knowledge. And this is the message that the WHO has given to us. So then we need to apply our knowledge, and particularly we need to address how to change in lifestyles, and particularly diet, but also physical activity. We know that preventive nutrition is a must, and we know that having more vegetables, more fruits, more legumes, more vegetable in general, decrease the prevalence and the incidence of non-communicable disease. For example, this is a relatively recent study of my group as how phenolic compound, the intake of phenolic compound through the vegetable can have an effect on the reduction in decreasing risk factor of cardiovascular disease. This is a systematic review of how this phenolic compound can affect, and there is some evidence to support that there are some biological active compounds in the diet that can be effective in the prevention of non-communicable disease. Using nutrimetabolomic approaches, also my group have done an update, a recent update on the to investigate the role of plant-based foods and their bioactive compounds in non-communicable disease. This is a powerful tool that in the future will be applied to a number of intervention studies, just in order to try to demonstrate how those compounds can be used in the prevention and treatment of non-communicable disease. Concerning fats and fatty acids, you know that the FAO, the WHO report, what are the most important features related to these aspects, and it is well known that the high intake of trans fatty acid has a tremendous effect on the relative risk of cardiovascular disease. So we need to go down. So in the Europe, we have no concern about that because we made some intervention with the food industry years ago. The United States also, I remember 3 or 4 years ago, also gave recommendations. But in countries like Latin America and in Asiatic countries, we continue using trans fatty acid and has a tremendous effect on the population. We know that the lowering saturated fat at least at reasonable levels, lower than 10% of the total energy, resulting in decreasing cholesterol and so on. The appropriate intake of long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acid, both N6 and N3, but particularly N3, would have an important effect on health, and also appropriate intake of monounsaturated fatty acid, as in olive oil, can also have an effect. We wrote a supplement in the British Journal of Nutrition and of how omega-3 fatty acids can be effective in the prevention of chronic disease, particularly on the reduction of coronary events. You can say this is a meta-analysis. And the use of omega-3, long-chain PUFA, for ameliorating cardiovascular disease risk factors can be recommended, although the administration of these fatty acids do not seem to show any benefit for the management of cardiovascular disease-associated complications. But also, it's not only diet, it's not only nutrition. Healthy lifestyle is considering also physical activity. And physical inactivity is a major problem. And this is a very well-known study that was published in the Lancet by Dr. Lee, and on the effect of physical inactivity on major non-communicable disease. If inactivity were not eliminated, but decreased instead by 10 or 25%, more than 500,000 and more than 1.3 million deaths, respectively, could be saved every year. This is the conclusion. And also, in 2016, in a conservative estimation, physical inactivity cost the healthcare system about 54 billion worldwide. So this is a tremendous impact on health costs. But what is more important for health, increasing physical activity or decreasing sedentarism? So you can see here the study by Ufo Eklund about how physical activity attenuate or even eliminate the detrimental association of sitting time with mortality. And so you can see that physical inactivity and sedentarism has a tremendous impact in health. And doing something with physical activity is better by far than doing nothing. Also, related to the cardiorespiratory fitness as a quantitative predictor of all-cause mortality and cardiovascular event in healthy men and women, this is a meta-analysis. So you can see that the physical activity is related to decreasing all-cause mortality and coronary heart disease and cardiovascular events. And what about lean, low fit versus obese, bad fit? So you can see here that obese, bad fit is important to maintain the inadequate metabolism. Even for an obese, if it is fit, is better by far. So you know that today we have obese, metabolically healthy, but we also have metabolically unhealthy obese. And appropriate physical activity can be an important aspect to consider. Muscular strength in male adolescent, premature death. This is a study done in Granada, in Spain, by my colleague Francisco Ortega, that I've been working also with the Swedish team of Finn Rasmussen, and he has a report that in this study there is an association between strength, BMI, blood pressure, and mortality by all causes. So, as much as you have higher strength, you have low BMI, and there is a decrease in mortality. And there is another important aspect, mental health. There is an association between strength and current and future risk of psychiatric disorder. So, mens sana in corpore sano is a proverb that is really applicable to this aspect. And Dr. Ortega found an association between strength, BMI, blood pressure, and mortality by suicide, and this particularly in some northern European countries. So physical activity is affecting also our behavior. Be smart, exercise your heart, exercise effects on brain and cognition. This is a study with more than 1,000 citations in July 2017 by Hillman, Erickson, and Kramer. And this is a project that we are doing currently in Spain. The name is Active Brain Project. We are evaluating the effect of an exercise program on brain, cognition, physical and mental health in overweight and obese children. This is led by Dr. Ortega, but my group is cooperating, doing all the biochemical and molecular analysis. And so we are in the intervention study. We have 5 sessions per week during approximately 5 months on average, based on physical activity recommendation, high intensity, and we are monitoring in all sessions, and we are evaluating brain, physical health, and mental health, changes in brain fMRI, neuroelectric measurements, cognitive performance, academic achievement. This is some of the things that we are doing, and the preliminary results tell us that cardiorespiratory fitness increase some brain area volumes like premotor cortex, supplementary motor cortex, superior parietal cortex, hippocampus, nucleus caudatus, etc. So this is some of the image we are obtaining with MRI system, and there is an association of fitness with a higher cognition capacity, and association with higher academic achievement. So physical activity, again, is an important thing. And what to do? What to do is following physical activity guidelines, mainly. Regarding the type of exercise frequency and duration, we will have some comment here on this table, but this is my take-home message. Go to training and exercise and become. Thank you very much.